was beautiful this week. Let's soak some of that in and let some of that out. The best way to think about Shabbat is it's sort of like that steam release. If you don't have it, the water will overboil. But when we have the steam that comes off, we can fully be present in the week. So nice deep breath for Shabbat. Tonight we have the pleasure of having Harvey Horowitz and Nick Stelzer. I left out the T there. Nick, can you see Nick? Okay, so Nick is actually on organ. Organ is the hidden instrument. Nick, play a note so they can hear you. So the reason he's on organ is actually when Nick and Harvey were working together, he has to transpose to different. Harvey's voice is a lot lower than Cantor's. So the easiest, it's actually the organ is made for moving, so you can move between voice octaves, right?
Different keys.
Different keys. Okay. So why don't we start off with that opening song, Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim, and I think it's on page 128. Either just listen or follow along, and let's get a sense of that organ here.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, לה 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 לה. La 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 la. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, la 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 la. La 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 la. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
How many of you in this congregation grew up with the organ? Raise your hands, don't be shy. Yeah. It was very popular at times, and it's so nice to have its music back. I'm going to invite Bruce Chorus to welcome everyone home.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome home. I was saying to Nick, I don't remember the last time we had the organ on a plain old Friday night service. What a nice treat. Some of you, by the way, were asking, what happened over here? Where did everything go? Where'd the furniture go? I said, oh my God, we've been robbed. No, we've just moved the lectern back up onto the bima. As we continue to evolve in a hopefully post-COVID world, we bit by bit take steps and return to normal. And of course, you guys recall that the piano that's over there used to be over here, and then when we refurbished it, and there was an upright piano over there that had only been on loan to us. So when we refurbished the grand piano and moved it over there, so we have a kind of an empty spot here. My suggestion is a hot tub. We could be a mikvah, And then actually Harvey had the best line. He said, we would not just be the cool shul, we'd be the shul with the pool. So anyway, welcome. We have a nice service with Harvey filling in for Cantor. I'll be back later with the announcements. We've been busy, and we are going to continue to be busy. Lots of neat stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. So Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to turn to page 142 and welcome in the angels of Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem.
La 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 la. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. La 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 la. Everybody. La 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 la. La 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 la.
So Harvey, you know what they call that in camp language? They call that ruach.
Ruach. We have lots of ruach here.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to invite Barbara up all the way from Canada, Toronto, I believe, is it? She is going to be lighting our candles. Candles are on page 120.
Yeah. Should I sing it or say it?
It's up to you, but let's have you light them first.
Okay. Now, I always do it from left to right.
Yeah, it's your custom.
But is that
What?
not the regular custom?
I don't know. How many of you light your candles from left to right? Anyone from right to left? And anyone, you have no idea how you do it.
Mostly because of the Hanukkah candles, we do it that way, so,
Oh, Hanukkah candles.
right?
Let's bring in our Shabbat lights. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
And do you want to lift up our Kiddush cup there?
Do you want me, what do you want?
Just
me-
lift it up.
Oh, just lift it up.
And Harvey, would you like to lead us? Page 123, Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon Hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu b'charta v'yotanu kidashta Mikol Amim V'Shabbat Kodshecha V'Yahava Uv'Ratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
It's up to you.
Amen. You have some. So,
Oh, good.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Let's turn to page 124 at the bottom. We'll read responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love and all who are lonely for friendship. Welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We're going to turn to L'Chadodi as we welcome in Shabbat, page 138. And as is our new custom, we're going to sing the first, second, fifth, and ninth verses. On the ninth verse, we're going to rise and we're going to face the doorway, bowing as Shabbat enters, and then we welcome each other by waving.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor b'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila la 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 la, L'chadodi likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor haberacha, Merosh mikedem nisrucha, Sof maseh b'machshavat tchila la la la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hit'oreri, Kiva orech kumi uri, shir daberi, Kavod Adonai alayich, nigla la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emunei am segula. Bo'i chala la la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing on the bottom of 145. Let's look at the English. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Page 146, our call of community.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la,
La
ya
la
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 la la la la.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We remain standing, page 150, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amecha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu V'orech yameinu U'vahem Yomam v'layla V'yahavatecha Al tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael.
On the Shema, page 152, 153.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We turn the next page, 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meyodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkiru Va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
And let's read together on 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We continue with the Mi Chamocha, page 158.
Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam, livnei Moshe u'Miriam. Zeili anu v'yamaru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar ki vada Adonai et Yaakov U'galo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen. Blessed are you, the Redeemer of Israel. Page 162. And of your list that you picked out with Nick and Cantor, this is my favorite one, Yismechu, at the bottom of 162.
B'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, B'korei Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, B'korei Oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei Shvi'i Shabbat. Kulam yizbe'u v'yit'aneku mituvecha Shabbat. Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Shabbat yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher Lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher Lema'aseh v'reishit Shabbat. Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. B'korei oneg Shabbat.
I invite you to rise if you're able for the Amidah, the standing meditation, or tefillah, page 164 to 180. Whenever you're ready, you may be seated. Now, Harvey, when I'm up here, we always use you. When you sit down, then we know, okay, we're in good shape. What do we do when you're up here? Page 180, O says Shalom.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
We're going to turn our attention to our healing prayers, page 371. Let's take a moment just to collect our thoughts. Think about all those people that you're thinking about in the world, in your family. And I know it might not seem like that much to say prayers for them or to direct our attention to them, but just we do believe that when we do that, it makes people feel less alone. As I read our list, I just want to really, so happy to have Margie Abelson back with us. And this is the first time back in our services, and we're so blessed to have you. We're grateful that the prayers seem to have done some work. So we're going to read the list of names. I'm going to read the list of names, and then if you have other names you want to mention, just raise your hand. As a community, we are thinking about Richard Zyback, Murray Edinger, Carol Fisher, Sue Frank, Ida Frost, Maureen Furlong, Michael Gettings, Sam Golden, Freda Goodstein, Dick and Kathy Gordon, Esther see, this is what happens. It enters someone who passed. She's for our next list. Phil Hersbrun, Heather Houston, Miles Levy, Savannah Lucas, Megan McEvoy, Robert Posis, Ilya Ratner, Aidan Raccoon, Maddie Rindenberg, Karen Rosenfeld, Cheryl Rossi, Brandon Ryan, Jill Turabasi, Eleanor Wasilewski, Robin Weinstein, Mike Wheeler, Shoshana bat Brucha, bat Ami, bat Shulamit, Yocheved bat Esther, Miriam bat Razel, Avram bet Rivka, Chana Ezra ben Shul, and Ruvain ben Morris. And I'll add Lewis, who I visited at Roswell Park today. Please keep him in your prayers. If there's other people.
Victoria Friedman and Marshall Friedman.
Michael Bernstein, Melissa Selwyn.
Jillian Steiner. Sherry Lovett.
Angelina Hill.
David Stafford.
Jack Weiss.
We bring all those names into our hearts as we sing the Misha Berach together.
Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. May all of our prayers go out to those who need. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So Bruce mentioned some of the changes we've had here. I don't know if you noticed a huge change, and it's thanks to the leadership of one of our members that's in the room today. You might have noticed often people walking up here, like Harvey or I, have the danger of tripping on cords. And Carol Schmeidler was one of the people that talked to Cantor Frank. And this is the impetus. You might not know that, but that is the reason, to have better safety in a room. So we're going to try not to have anyone fall in our sanctuary. So thank you, Carol. I really appreciate your wisdom. Okay, so this week is Bamidbar. We begin the book of Numbers. And the book of Numbers begins with a heroic story in the wilderness. No, it begins with a census. You might not think it's very interesting because it goes on not just one portion, but basically two separate portions. Next week we get the second half of the portion. But as someone who loves censuses, I actually think it's quite interesting. Now, of course, the census that they took, they were only interested in one thing: the might of each of the tribes and the collective might of the people. They're preparing for a military battle in the Promised Land, or many battles. They need to know exactly what their troop situation is like, and to some extent, the tax situation as well. And so they do a survey, and we know it's roughly, I think, 609,015, something like that. When you do the numbers, they don't tell you exactly, but each of the tribes is recorded, and we can see who has more. And this is all only the males, 20 to 50. So we can extrapolate from that, if we believe the numbers, that this has to be close to 2 million people if you include women, children, and the entire extent seniors as well that aren't included in the survey here. But we don't get the economic situation of the people as they're going through it. We don't get the ethnicities. One of the things I pointed out in the Torah Thoughts, if we knew more, if we, as I said in my Torah Thoughts, if we could name the numbers in a way of making the numbers people, make the numbers actually make sense to us, then we might have found out how the various family connections. We could have found out how many people joined from Africa, from Egypt and other places. We could have found what this mixed multitude was made of. Who was a descendant of Moses, who from Aaron, who from Miriam, who from the various places. How young was this group? We have to conjecture that it's about 2 million people. Well, that's what we talk about. But it could be that the males 20 to 50 were the majority of the group. We actually have no idea of knowing all those kind of information because we were left with a tiny bit that I just wish we had more. So we do a lot of surveys today. You might notice there's almost a survey every week, it feels like. Well, there was a wonderful one I heard on NPR this week, and it felt so fitting that there was a survey on religion in America when we're starting the book of Numbers. So this is PRRI, which is the survey wing of NPR, and that's what they were looking at. They were looking at the strength of religion. And a lot of these trends you will know, that Christianity is shrinking, and the importance of religion overall is shrinking in our worship spaces. I actually heard this when I went to Elam Church last Sunday. That was one of the topics of conversation in the sermon that was given that day, that people are not coming enough into the church. And it's felt, of course, in a lot of different ways. But that's not the only thing they noticed. There's a couple of things that particularly attain to the Jewish community and that are really interesting to me. They are question marks. How do we think about these things? So the first of them is when you ask the level of importance of your religion in your life, how would you think Jews rate that? Would they be very high, 80%? Or would it be 10%, 20%, 30%? We're kind of around the average, but a little below. When you go to the Jewish community, and it's not surprising, the importance of Judaism in their lives, this is an open, free country. People go and they do lots of things. They might have theater affiliation, bills, tickets, all sorts of things that are also part of their important part of their life. And it's important to note in Judaism that we don't really insist that, certainly not at Shir Shalom, that this is the only thing in your life. We want people to come in with lots of different interests. So this is compared to the white evangelical community, where it's around 40 to 45% say it's extremely important in our life. So that's one thing, that 13% number. The other thing, which is really that was the headline in NPR, which is people are leaving their birth faith more than ever and switching teams to another group. Now, what that group is, it's hard to say, but they're switching en masse. And they did the survey last year to this year. So last year, about 15% of the population said that they switched from their birth religion, their parents' religion, I guess. But now it is up to 25%. And among some groups, much, much higher than that. It was very nice to see that Jews are near the bottom of that list. Only about 15% of people that were born Jewish leave their religion, which means that we're kind of doing something right. And I would say, actually, these two numbers might be connected. If you have such a high bar that you have to be at everything, like a lot of the churches certainly will insist, this has to be your entirety of your life at the exclusion of all other things, it's probably hard to stay in those if you're not comfortable with it. The fact that our enthusiasm is low isn't all bad. It means also that we have a place that people come in and out. The number I always heard was about 80% of the Jewish community comes into a synagogue some point in their life. 20% is the normal amount of Jews that are in synagogues at any one time, but 80% over the course of their life. So Judaism is important, and they're not leaving it. The survey, when I heard it, it elicited something that I wanted to talk about, and I actually wrote a little article that I wanted to read for you. I don't know if they're going to print it. They're going to do a story on this. There's actually a new phenomenon that's happened here at Shir Shalom, but also in the broader Jewish community that I've only come to realize is a very significant phenomenon. I'm going to share what this is, but this will change the landscape of Judaism in a way that we don't realize right now, and it's connected to this group leaving their birth faith that's actually coming to us. So let me read this to you. So I don't think they're going to print this because I asked them to write their own article on it, so that would be double. But I did have a great conversation with a reporter from the JTA today. The dance of religious life in America has gotten more intense over the past year. According to a recent PRI poll, nearly a quarter of all Americans have switched from the religious affiliation of their birth to something new. This is up more than 10% from a poll conducted a year ago. Luckily for us, Jews are near the bottom of this list, with a little more than 15% finding a new spiritual home. Still high, but nothing compared to our co-religionists. It seems like the Jewish community is doing something right, not only in our retention of our own, but also in being a beneficiary of the disaffiliated members of other groups. If my experience in Buffalo, New York is any indication, people are flocking in our direction. Just in the past 2 years, I have conducted 15 conversions, with a dozen more in process. This is up tenfold from a decade ago, and I would probably say tenfold from 5 years ago, actually. These new Jews have become valuable participants in the life of our synagogue and the life of our overall community. There is scarcely a month these days when I haven't received a call or two from an interested applicant. This is with no added marketing. No synagogue in Buffalo, as far as I know, has ever paid to advertise Judaism to the wider community or outreach efforts. They call, email, text, actively wanting to know more about Judaism. The nature of the applicants has also changed. Whereas before, the majority coming to me would be on the older side and often in the process of getting married. Now they are young and single. By young, I mean in their early 20s, college age, or even some from high school. There is one other factor that is especially noteworthy. A significant number of these applicants are coming from the queer community and are often non-binary or trans. When I asked them what brought them to me, they share that Judaism is much more open and welcoming than communities they have belonged to prior. What's most interesting about this group in particular is how many are making their journey unprompted, without knowledge that they are part of a revolution in Jewish life that will have implications for years to come. In talking to colleagues in reconstructing Judaism, I've come to understand that this is a national and even international trade. Other rabbis from my denomination have shared that they are overwhelmed by the numbers, and sadly have had to turn people away because of lack of time or resources. We are lucky in Buffalo to have a community-wide Introduction to Judaism class and a coordinated effort to train converts. Many of my colleagues are coming from more rural areas and with few Jews and fewer resources available to help. In response to this specific concern, the Reconstructionist Rabbinical Association is in the process of creating a virtual Introduction to Judaism class to offer as support. While I do not have hard evidence, I would estimate there are thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, of new Jews that fit this demographic. If true, this will no doubt have a significant impact on what our community looks like moving forward. We'll have to address some key questions, like how can we make our spaces of worship more inviting? What programs or services should be tailored towards this population? And what resources will need to be allocated to accommodate their needs? With this influx, we have a younger, more diverse, and perhaps more politically active community. When asked about how they demonstrate their Judaism in the world, a recent convert in her 30s said the Hebrew writing on the back of her punk rock vest and a large Antifa sign on her wall with the Jewish star were the ways that she demonstrated Judaism. Hearing the stories of these new Jews often brings tears to my eyes. The Jewish community is almost always the first spiritual home they have ever encountered where they feel fully at home in. I'm most especially proud of my 400 family dual-affiliated Reform and Reconstructionist congregation, who have opened their arms fully to these newcomers. With the median age of Buffalo Jewish community being in the early 60s, they have significantly reduced the age of our participants, becoming regulars at our Shabbat services and Zoom study sessions. While the PRRI survey is not all positive for the Jewish community, we are near the bottom of the list in terms of overall enthusiasm for our faith. We should celebrate the things we are doing right. To those of you considering the pathway towards Judaism from another faith, particularly from the trans or queer community, I, for one, welcome you with open arms. I look forward to hearing your stories and seeing how our people's journeys can connect with your own. So just, you're on the cutting edge here. You might not realize it, but this is a phenomenon that's happening across the country and, according to colleagues, around the world, actually. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But in response to the importance of surveys, I think they're pretty important. They open our eyes to things that maybe we don't realize are happening right in front of us. May we continue to look in and adjust and adapt to a changing world that we always find ourselves in. And we say, Amen. We can have discussion after services. We'll be happy to discuss and looking forward to hearing this out more in the world just to find out what's happening. All right, we're ready back for you, Harvey. Thank you. We are ready for Aleinu. If you're able, we invite you to rise, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We're going to turn to our Mourner's Kaddish. I just learned of the recent passing of Lynn Ullman. Our thoughts are with her family, Lori, her daughter. We also lost two others this week, Lenore Altman and Esther Green. May their memories be for a blessing. On our Shloshim list from this past month, we are mourning Benny Berger, Marvin Frankel, Janet Hess, Dennis Preve, Alex Ratner, Michelle Schaefer, Diana Robinson, Annette Marie Rosenberg, Richard Seitz, and Stephen Silver. On our yahrzeit list from years past, we are remembering Norma Altman, Peggy Altman, Samuel Axelrod, Edith Balin, Alfred Baruch, Frank Bookbinder, Irving Brutman, Peter Covey, Robert N. Eisner, Ruben Gabriel, Frank E. Gordon, Ray Gudovitz, Carl D. Haber, Milton Herzog, Helene Levine Horowitz, Milton Canner, Benjamin Cariff, Baby Klein, Dorothy Klein, Philip Corin, Diane H. Kowalski, Albert Kroll, Molly Letman, Isaac Levy, Matthew Liebengards, Bessie Michaels, Stephen Orlick, Irving Nusanov, Ruthie Pugash, Betty Reisman, Edward Sandel, Rhoda Claire Shepard, Richard Scheif, Seymour Schoenfeld, Miriam Schulman, William Shapiro, Abraham Sugar, Edward W. Wolf Jr. If there's other names, just feel free to raise your hand.
Jeannie Lipson.
Rachel Standard.
Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 598. If it is your custom to rise, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach hirtei v'yamlik malchutei v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agalav v'zman kariv yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei maya. Yitparak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'rechu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'imuramein, yehei shlamar rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imuramein, o says shalom v'imuramav, hu ya says shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'imuramein. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. You may be seated. May their memories always be for a blessing. And Bruce is going to come up for the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. You notice last week, Sisterhood Shabbat took 2 people to do the announcements? Just pointing it out. By the way, really interesting talk tonight.
Thank you.
The numbers are interesting. The stories are interesting. And there's some reassurance in there. There's some encouraging stuff. Yeah. We're not just the cool shul. We're the cool faith. Thank you to Rabbi Alex and Harvey Horowitz filling in for the cantor, and Nick Stelzer for a lovely service tonight. The organ sounded great. That's, like I said, I don't remember the last time we had the organ on a Friday night service. It had a nice sound to it. Thank you to our service greeters tonight. Sheila Bernard Tucker, a regular, Pam Sugarman, a newbie. Thank you, Pam. You're drafted now. You're not going to get out of it anymore. Tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 a.m. via Zoom. Saturday, the Shabbat morning service and Kiddush luncheon will be at 10:45 at Temple Beth Tzedek. Sunday is the last day of religious school. What are the kids going to do on Sunday mornings?
They're not going, oh.
They're going to be hanging out on the street corner on Sunday morning, saying, "Can someone teach me Torah?" I mean, it's going to be sad. Anyway, we've had a wonderful year. The community religious school this year, 20 more students than last year. We had 160 this year, something like that. Really nice increase from year 1 to year 2. A very, very successful year 2 for the community religious school. And there's going to be a brunch for the religious school families at the end of school on Sunday. The next Shavetas, speaking of meals, the next Shavetas is this Tuesday from 4. Have you ordered? Not yet, but I will. Okay. Are you volunteering? All right. The Gordons are eating and helping. Wonderful. That is Tuesday from 4 to 7 or until sold out. Remember, you go to the website, you place your order in advance, you save $1, and you're guaranteed of getting a meal. All this month, the Tikkun Olam team, not committee, team, they've made that very clear to me. And I think that's a great way to call them. The Tikkun Olam team is collecting food and personal item donations in conjunction with the Amherst Little Free Pantry, which is a project of the Unitarian Universalist Church and Havara. Please bring a donation whenever you come. Food, personal items, they'll be doing that all this month, and I think they're going to continue that, aren't they?
I think we have a different one.
Different. It's going to different organizations each month. Thank you to everyone who attended our annual congregational meeting Tuesday night. Mazel tov to the aforementioned Sheila Bernard Tucker and Joe Glickman, this year's President's Awards recipients. You know, nice to see you doing something for a change, Sheila. Anyway, mazel tov, well deserved. Thursday night, we have Tikkun Leil Shavuot. That is at Temple Beth Tzedek. It begins at 8, studying through the night. Rabbi Alex will be speaking at midnight. What, they couldn't give you prime time?
That's actually a really good time.
Midnight is prime time.
Yes.
Okay. And then the Shavuot Yizkor service will be Friday morning at 10:30. That's here, right? Okay. That's at 10:30 Friday morning. And it was Shavuot, the dairy holiday, so they'll be followed by cheesecake and coffee. Our friends from Temple Beth Zion, Temple Beth El from Niagara Falls, and Congregation Havurah will be joining us. Are we going to have cheesecake next Friday night? Can we have cheesecake next Friday? It's Shavuot. We should. Cheesecake at the Onig next Friday night. See, I asked. She says yes.
Is the service here?
Yes, it's here. It is here Friday morning at 10:30. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Saturday, June 3rd, Safe Driving, the defensive driving class is back. Starts at 9:30. If you haven't taken that in 3 years or more, you should take it. Many of you have. You save about $100 a year on your car insurance. You put up with me talking for a few hours, but it is worth it. There are still some spots available, so if you need to know more about it, let me know. The Pittsburgh trip now has 2 spots available due to cancellation by a traveler with a health issue. We would like to fill those spots so the original travelers don't forfeit their payments. It's $512. You would have the choice of taking a city tour of Pittsburgh by bus or attending a Pittsburgh Pirates St. Louis Cardinals baseball game. How cool. Anyway, the flyer outside has details. Time is of the essence because they need to nail this down. So if you're at all interested, please contact Nancy McGorry in the Temple office. Summer Arts Camp will be offered from July 10th to July 14th from 9 a.m. to noon for kids K-4 and 5th through 8th. It will include music, art, theater, movement, and more. Again, flyer outside the sanctuary. Other upcoming events are listed in the service leaflet. If you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to Rabbi Alex Cantor-Frank, although not tonight because she's not here, Joanne, Todd, or myself. We are always here for you. Please join us for the Onig in the lobby following the service. If you'd like to sponsor an Onig for whatever reason, talk to Joanne. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for being part of this really wonderful Shir Shalom family.
I like your kippah verse, too.
You know, this was from Boaz's bar mitzvah. They had
It
tell them
matches
about
perfect.
seriously. Tell them about the kippot you had. It's a really cool story.
Well, this is something my wife is Shira. She researches for both of our kids' b'nai mitzvah. In Guatemala, they have you buy the kippahs, and it helps the population there, and also helps to bring clean water. So it's a really cool project, actually, and they do a great job. We have had a great experience. If you want any wonderful kippahs, you can go. I'm sure I can get you the name of it. I think it's called, what is it, water mitzvah something. Anyways, well, I'll figure it out. All right, we are at the end of our service, and let's see, we are ready for Adon Olam, page 625.
Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
Terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa,
Liet Nasa,
V'chefzo Kol,
Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam,
V'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Hashem Malach,
Asher Malach,
Terem Kol,
B'terem Kol,
Yitzir Nivra, Liet Nasa,
Liet Nasa,
V'chefzo Kol,
Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam,
V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni, Lahamshir lo lahachbira Adon Olam, B'li Reshit, B'li Tachlit, V'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach.
Asher Malach.
Terem Kol.
B'terem Kol.
Yitzir Nivra. Liet Nasa.
Liet Nasa.
V'chefzo Kol.
Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam.
V'hu Eli. V'chai Goali. V'tzorchev li b'yetzara Adon Olam. V'hu Nisi. Umanos li. Menat kozi b'yom mekra Adon Olam. Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach.
Asher Malach.
Terem Kol.
B'terem Kol.
Yitzir Nivra. Liet Nasa.
Liet Nasa.
V'chefzo Kol.
Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam.
Biyado. Avkid Ruchi.
V'yeti Shan v'yayira Adon Olam.
V'im Ruchi. V'yati.
Adonai li
v'lo ira.
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
Asher Malach.
Asher Malach.
Terem Kol.
B'terem Kol.
Yitzir Nivra. Liet Nasa.
Liet Nasa.
V'chefzo Kol.
Azai Melech Shemo Nikra
Adon Olam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer books, your sidurim to the front minus the leaflet. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.